Planet Earth, 10,000 years ago. For 2.5 million years, our prehistoric ancestors had been living in caves, passing the time by bashing stones together. Then suddenly, everything changed, and people began to build huge monuments all over the planet. But how and why? It's the biggest mystery in human history, but not for some people.
Thousands of years ago, when our forefathers were primitive Stone Age people, some extraterrestrials visited our Earth.
Extraterrestrial presence not only departed the wisdom to build the monuments, but possibly the technology to make it happen.
It sounds bonkers. But could aliens have started civilization and built some of the most famous monuments on Earth? All over the Earth, there are giant stone monuments. Almost everyone knows they were created thousands of years ago by ancient man. But could almost everyone be wrong? According to the official history books, buildings like the pyramids and Stonehenge are triumphs of human engineering, which mark the beginning of our human civilization. But there are a few nagging questions about them, like why they seem to appear out of the blue. It's a mystery which has been troubling lots of people, including UFO gurus such as David Hatcher Childress.
Well, one of the great enigmas of the past and of humanity is that people just like us have been around for at least 100,000 years. And then suddenly, a few thousand years ago, we just stepped out of our caves and started building all these giant monuments. One of the mysteries here is not only how did ancient man build all these giant megalithic monuments, but why?
Over the years, scientists have struggled to explain it. Some suggested it was to do with agriculture. The birth of agriculture meant we could suddenly feed armies of workers. Others said it was all about the birth of religion. Early civilizations were desperate to placate gods. But now, there's another explanation. One group of people say that most of these monuments were built or designed in the distant past by aliens who visited our planet with their super advanced technology. One believer is Jason Martell. He lives in California and runs a dating agency. But in his spare time, he's been grappling with the biggest archaeological mystery of our time. And he says he solved it.
Man could have had the ability to physically stack those large blocks in Egypt and build that, 100,000 men. But the knowledge to do it had to come from somewhere else. There had to be some type of intervention, and that's why I look towards the ancient astronaut theory. Ancient astronauts from somewhere else came here and influenced our society.
Jason and other believers say this idea would explain some baffling questions about ancient monuments. Take Stonehenge. How did Bronze Age Britons drag these 5-ton stones over 170 miles? And then there's this 1,000-ton block at Baalbek in the Lebanon. It weighs as much as 3 Boeing 747s. How did ancient man shift that? And then there's the biggest controversy of all, the Pyramids of Giza. The biggest one is made from 2.5 million blocks of stone. It was built in just 20 years and is lined up exactly with the North Pole, less than 1/10 of a degree out. According to the experts, the answer is simple. The ancient Egyptians were just terribly clever, worked very fast and very hard. And they created a whole tourist industry in only a few decades. But that doesn't convince the likes of Jason Martell.
Many of the ancient sites around the world display a type of brilliance that we don't attribute to ancient man. If ancient man is living in clay huts and using stone tools, they're not going to have the advanced mathematics and geometry to lay out some of the sites that we have today. How did ancient man build things like Stonehenge? How did they get the Giza pyramids to line almost 1/10 off a degree to actual north?
So what do the official Egypt experts say? Egyptologists think there's no big mystery. Archaeologists, they say, have dug up lots of evidence near the pyramids.
The broad features are fairly clear. We've got the barracks where the workmen lived, we've got the tombs of the architects. Also, for some of the unfinished pyramids, we have got the ramps which were used to drag the blocks into place. So although the minutiae of the construction process isn't known, probably is unknowable, I think the big picture is perfectly clear.
The problem for believers in ancient alien astronauts is that we can't ask the aliens themselves. Or can we? Lisa Royal Holt says that she knows that aliens built ancient monuments. That's because she is an intergalactic medium who's in direct spiritual contact with an alien called Sasha. Apparently, Sasha lives billions of miles away, but luckily reception is crystal clear. Over to you, Lisa.
Well, greetings to you. This is Sasha. It is a pleasure to be with you this day, and we are so excited that you have an interest in this subject matter. Our intentions for our interaction with Earth humans is absolutely, totally in peace, love, and joy.
Thank you, Lisa. I mean, Sasha. That's very reassuring. But what about the pyramids? Who built them?
In ancient days, my forefathers came to Earth. We were seeking another place to colonize. The monuments were built by extraterrestrials, usually for actual scientific purposes.
OK, we'll be back with the aliens soon, so we can hear firsthand about what experiments they got up to. But first, let's meet the godfather of the ancient alien astronaut theory, the man scientists and archaeologists love to hate.
Traditional archaeology don't like mysteries. They have the answer for everything. They just declare something, and the rest of the world has to believe it.
In 1968, Erich von Däniken, a Swiss hotel manager, achieved international notoriety when he published a controversial theory which said that alien astronauts had visited Earth in our ancient past. Now, it wasn't the first time it had been suggested extraterrestrial beings had come to Earth in prehistoric times. This, after all, had been a staple of science fiction fantasy for years. But Erich's idea had a rather crucial difference. He said it was true. His book, Chariots of the Gods, sold more than 60 million copies worldwide. And he quickly became an international superstar. Erich seemed to give the world a brand new space-age version of human history.
Thousands of years ago, when our forefathers were still Stone Age people, some extraterrestrials arrived.
Von Däniken argued that those extraterrestrials helped build ancient monuments. His career as a solver of ancient mysteries began, he says, in the 1960s.